The Battle of Halidon Hill, fought on July 19, 1333, was a pivotal confrontation in the Second War of Scottish Independence and marked one of the most crushing defeats in Scottish military history. The conflict originated from the contested succession to the Scottish throne following the death of Robert the Bruce in 1329. His son, David II, was only 5 years old at the time, and the country was ruled by a regency. Edward Balliol, the son of former King John Balliol, seized the opportunity to claim the throne with the backing of several disinherited Scottish nobles and the active support of King Edward III of England, who sought to reassert English overlordship over Scotland. Balliol's initial success in 1332 was short-lived, as he was quickly driven out by Scottish loyalists, but Edward III soon intervened directly, marching north with a large army and laying siege to the strategically important border town of Berwick-upon-Tweed in March 1333. The siege dragged on for months, during which the English constructed siege engines and blockaded the town by land and sea, while the Scots inside held out desperately, awaiting relief. In July, the Scottish regent, Sir Archibald Douglas, led an army estimated at around 15,000 men to lift the siege. Edward III, anticipating this move, positioned his forces, about 9,000 strong, on the heights of Halidon Hill, a steep ridge to the northwest of Berwick, from which he could see the Scottish advance. The English army was arranged in traditional Chiltern-breaking formation, 3 divisions of dismounted men-at-arms flanked by large contingents of longbowmen. The terrain between the two armies was marshy and constricted, forcing the Scots to advance uphill across soft ground under a relentless barrage of arrows. The English longbowmen, firing from protected positions, inflicted horrific casualties on the densely packed Scottish ranks before they could even reach melee range. When the Scots finally closed the distance, they were exhausted and disorganized, and the English infantry met them with disciplined resistance. The result was a slaughter. Estimates suggest that over 4,000 Scots were killed, including many nobles and knights, such as Douglas himself and 5 earls. The defeat was so comprehensive that the Scottish army effectively ceased to exist as a fighting force that day. The fall of Berwick followed shortly after, and Edward Balliol was reinstated as king, though his rule was dependent entirely on English support and widely rejected by the Scottish population. Despite this temporary victory, the English failed to achieve lasting control over Scotland. David too fled to France for safety but would return in later years to lead a renewed resistance. The Battle of Halidon Hill not only demonstrated Edward III's strategic acumen and the terrifying efficiency of the English longbow, but it also highlighted the devastating consequences of poor tactical choices in medieval warfare, particularly the folly of attacking a well-defended position across unfavorable terrain. The battle remains a textbook example of how superior positioning and missile fire could overcome greater numbers and change the course of a campaign.